Hello, hello, hello. This is Dirty 20 Gaming. My name is Kevin, and these wonderful people have joined me tonight to play a game, and that makes me happy. These people are, let us start with the head waggling waywardest of knights. Go. You should know better than to move when
Hello.
I'm talking.
Mm,
It attracts my
Oh,
attention like
excuse
a
me.
raptor.
I knew it would happen eventually. MT Rex. Um, I am Chris, aka Wayward Knight. I play a lot of games. Most of them aren't here, but two of them are. Um, I play, which is a lot out of the games that we play on here. Anyway, I play Full City Caldwell here on Saturday nights. That's tonight. I also run our Buffy the Vampire Slayer TTRPG Grave New World, and I
So
have a podcast. It's called Professional Questers. You should listen to it.
You also got some
Where I
links.
interview. I do have links. Give me a damn second,
Nope,
Kevin.
not a chance. You moved.
it's
I
funny.
focused on you
It's
now.
funny to do it to Sarah on Tuesdays. So
No, I have the here. They're ready. I was just
Damn.
waiting till I finished my damn pitch. Um, you should listen to my podcast because I interview people in the TTRPG world about the characters that they play, and then I flip the script and interview the characters themselves. Ooh. So you should listen to that. It's called Professional Questers.
Yeah, it is. And yeah, you should. And yeah, thank you for putting up
yeah,
with my shit while you were talking. I am a
Yeah,
rude
Kevin.
I'm a rude bastard, and everybody thinks I'm nice, and everybody's wrong. Um, oh, and under the heading of all caps, good to have you back. Thank you, Hellhounds, for the
Oh.
ratings. It's good to have
So-
you back too.
Hounds.
Thank you very much. Saw the art, stunning, stunning, stunning. Impressed very much. Thank you for the daffodil snake. But welcoming back from far away, the mightiest bison underscore stonefist of which I know. Hello.
How
That's
many
me.
bison underscore stonefists do you know?
I'm willing to admit to one.
don't know how to take that.
The
I'm Bison
others I
Stonefist.
cannot speak to or against.
I'm here a lot normally. And finally back to being here a lot. On Saturdays, I'm here as Sid Brinlock, our unflappable engineer. On Mondays, I am in the Buffy the Vampire Slayer RPG as Jack. I'm not crazy Aldridge. On sorry, I am about to lose my voice, and that is such a bad thing. I'm going to need to grab some water when I'm done.
Yep.
On Tuesdays, I will be returning to our Cyberpunk Red campaign, Carnage Heights. I am the game master there, and I have to remember exactly what I'm doing. And on Thursdays, I play Encino on. He's a Dragonborn Paladin / Ranger, and he is. That's oh my god. Train of thought just totally
King's
derailed.
Pyrite.
Like,
based on the Go Do
yeah,
This game.
Fool's Gold.
Fool's Gold campaign.
Yeah, King's Pyrite. That's on Thursdays,
Yeah.
and yeah, I'm gonna drink this Arizona
You did it,
now.
Chris.
You should drink that now. Yes. And
you did, Chris.
Noting. Thought.
404 train of thought not
Buffering.
found.
For real though, just meow.
Yep. Oh, it happens. If it wasn't for lurching to the side, my train wouldn't do much at all. But before I forget the train and lurch to the side, there are some other nights. Sunday nights we have our Vesson, the Devil You Know game, Darkness and ooh, things aplenty. That's on Sundays. Watch that tomorrow night if you're watching this live. And then on oh yes, I knew there was one. This upcoming Friday, We just finished a short run of the Jitterbug run, which was amazing. You should all go and watch it on YouTube. It was spectacular. Um, but next Friday, going back to our one shots. In this case, the wonderful, the marvelous, the spectacular, the skilled, the talented, the superfluous number of adjectives. Gloriosa from our site is coming in to play a steampunk Asimov's Three Laws of Robotics mystery set in Victorian time, well, steampunk times, with real famous people built into the script. I have done a ludicrous amount of research to write this one shot. It's absolutely nuts. And here's
You wrote a dissertation.
oh, it literally pages. But here's the punchline. It's all because my history crush is in this. I get to play Lady Ada Lovelace again, one of my absolute heroes and crushes from all of history. When people say, "Who would you have dinner with?" People say Einstein and blah blah blah. It's like, nope, nope. I want to meet the lady that actually designed and built the different. Well, not built, but designed the difference engine. Anyway, tune in next Friday to see that. It's going to be amazing. Speaking of amazing, what's that?
Unlike Carl Sagan.
But all that aside, let's get to this game, these people, and let's start with, because your day's behind now. Cedric?
Yep.
Sidder rests hammer and goes back to drawing. Thank you.
Cedric.
Cedric. Sid.
Cedric Brimley.
Good night's sleep. Let's start with
what's that?
Yeah. Let's start with this. What is it like to wake up in a fucking mansion, Sid? I mean, you're in the servants' quarters, but they're nicer than the place that you picked for yourself.
It's
in
bigger
Venice.
than the place I picked for myself.
Oh, yeah.
It's drafty, for one.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you can just kind of tell. Lucky for him, he kind of didn't have a personal servant.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Or anything telling him what to dress and where they're supposed to be an hour ago.
No, but it was a big fluffy bed with a big fluffy duvet and a bunch of big fluffy pillows.
Oh, at
and
least
you wake up in the morning and there's
at
fresh
least one
hot
of those
chocolate
pillows is
sitting
on
there.
the floor.
Yeah.
At least one of those pillows is on the floor, and the blanket and the duvet is like all crumpled up at the foot of the bed.
Yeah. But yeah, somehow there's a warm hot chocolate sitting beside you. Oh, sorry, you've been here long enough. A warm tea sitting beside you. Slice of lemon on a separate plate, just if you want it. It's proper tea, proper breakfast tea, not just generic tea. It's like the right tea for the right time of the day in the right cup.
A little surprised he slept that well. People don't walk in on an engineer when he's sleeping.
Nope.
To
be fair, you had quite a night.
To be fair. Sorry, Chelsea's making memes in the back. Yeah, Sid kind of creaks out of bed. Takes the tea and kind of has to double take when he takes a sip.
Yep.
And he kind of watches like what he did the last time I was here a month and a half ago. Fuck. He watches the city wake up.
Yep.
It's kind of his morning ritual now.
Yep. So I'm presuming you've got your sort of house coat on and your little teacup and saucer and Like
Yeah.
it's China, right? The cup and saucer, the complete set on the Antiques Roadshow would go for 20 to 25,000 pounds. You know, it's like that sort of level of shit, right? And that's in the servants' quarters, because why wouldn't you?
Hmm.
But yeah, as you walk towards the window to step out onto that little balcony that little morning balcony, because it seems like that's what else you're going to do on there. It's only big enough to stand on,
Yeah.
and it faces east. But as you walk towards it, you see folded tidily on a chest is a copy of your clothes, cut slightly differently, made out of much nicer material, much higher thread counts, maybe a little bit of sort of shaping and fit. It's tailored, but it looks just like your stuff. Oh, and it is because they know you still tough as nails and ready to go to work in.
Yeah. He kind of like appraises the quality with his fingers.
It's only at that moment that you kind of realize how rat-assed your even what you changed into when you got here is. It's been sort
Yeah.
of 3 days of crawling around underneath trains and yeah.
Yeah, that shirt would have been torn to shreds.
Yeah.
Like just
The only thing they haven't replaced is your apron. They haven't touched it. It's exactly where you put it.
the I'd say the one that's out is the nice one, and he knows that his working one is in
Yep.
the closet. Because of course it would be. He, enjoys his breakfast, thinks about what he's got to do, figures he's probably going to be heading back to the the lodge.
Yep. Yes. Yeah. Because calling it the train shop just sounds childish.
Yeah.
Yeah. Toot toot land. So, I think if I remember correctly, you gathered up the lads and they went with you, which would make sense. They're engineering
Yeah.
basically.
Mhm.
It does not touch the Florence apron. No, he doesn't.
They're both Florence aprons. Actually, oh shoot. Technically, the nice one would have the Engineering Guild of Florence on it.
Probably would,
And
yeah.
that's gonna raise a Medici eyebrow,
That's a very
considering
good
that's
point.
where the
Yeah,
family started.
you might want to sort of leave that here.
Mm.
This might become one of those like football jersey things that you have framed and put on the wall.
Or this one during the playoffs.
I beat up a guy from Florence and took it. But yes, good point.
He might have
Felicity
to
has
think
knifed the
forward.
insignia off hers. That's fair, yeah.
I think he'd probably have to take the forge hammer to it, and doesn't. To him, he's already started waking up. He's started getting ready for work. He doesn't have time now,
Yeah.
even though he's got plenty of fucking time.
Yeah.
So yeah, he goes into the closet, grabs the ratty one, notices they even got the plastic off.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Probably while going, "What the hell is this?"
I don't know. Put vinegar on it. Vinegar works on everything.
Someone just takes a pair of pliers, snap.
That works too.
Now there's a spot.
Fuck, now I have a Taylor NPC. Thank you. He just wants to put vinegar on everything. That's all I know about him. But thank you.
That's a burn, you jerk. So yeah, I know he
burns more though.
puts
Yes, that means it will burn less later.
No. All I can think is Billy Crystal's character from Princess
I'm
Bride.
trying so hard not to, but yeah, yeah. But
So
anyway, yes,
close. Anywho,
yes. Gather up
yes.
the lads and
Yep,
head out
gathers
eventually.
I'll probably
This
find-
night, the there's a palanquin, like the standard palanquin being built tonight. The other one when you get back. That's tomorrow. But You
Yeah, we're
head
still
out,
doing
grab them from
flashback.
that. They've just finished helping the engineering on building this palanquin for this group of Lemvillians that you see standing around, very excited to get a palanquin back. But long story, talk to Allegra. You head out with the lads and head to the lodge. Let's call it that, the Toot Toot Lodge. That way we can be silly. Um, how do you get there? You taking the car, the Orchid Mobile?
That's kind of been the standard.
Yep.
The palanquins weren't available at that
No.
point,
Nope.
and no one's and Terrence hasn't, like pitched a advertising plan for Sid,
Not
so
yet.
he doesn't know about it. He doesn't know about the business venture.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, he takes the car.
Okay.
To him, it's kind of the safest option, and they get to drive around in this gorgeous piece of machinery.
Yeah.
It is now strangely shiny.
Yes, it's highly polished, just the brass bits.
Yeah.
But as you pull up in front of the lodge, just as you stop and the spring winds down, that ding, 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 and the boys do a couple extra pushes just to charge up the spring for when you're ready to go. There's a popping sound, a shattering glass sound, and a whistling disturbingly close by as something small and heavy comes out of the shot through the window and across the street, trailed by a fine streamer of steam.
That brings me back to college. Popping. A pressure gauge just went.
Yeah.
Or something.
Pop.
He is actually going to follow
Zoom probably won't let that through, but
yeah. He's going to follow it with his eyes and see where it lands.
It goes across a fairly what was a 4-lane road. Well, this is Venice, a 4-lane channel, so to speak. You're driving on the road beside it, bounces off the front of another building, and then just sort of wicks up into the air and just into one of the canals. You can see light flickering off it as it falls. It's brass. It's maybe that long. It's a fitting.
That's why you stress test. Anywho, he
through the broken window you hear laughter.
Damn it, Barry. Yeah, he parks in such a way that there's no windows directly in the way.
Yep.
And
Stefano mutters. He's been thinking. He mutters, 1,800 psi. Holy shit! He's figured out how much pressure it would take to do what just happened there. And yeah, you hear that. That's a ridiculous number.
Yeah,
that's like a
very difficult to achieve.
Building flattening number if it goes wrong, right?
Yeah. Well then, they've been busy. He knocks on the door with his hammer twice before opening it. The usual, I'm coming in, just let you know.
As you thump, you hear two old men go, stop laughing and go, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit. And as you open the door, they're on their knees on the floor, and to the side of each of them, there's a very expensive crystal glass with exceedingly expensive sherry in it. But the two of them are sitting on the floor like they're children playing with dolls or something on the floor. But between them is this little ball about this big around. It's got two little arms. One comes out that way, one comes out that way. One goes up, one goes down. And on the end of one of those, there's a brass fitting. On the end of the other one, there's a place where there used to be a brass fitting. And out of that hole is pouring the last little bit of steam. Below that, there's a fire source.
Not the kind of stress testing I was expecting, lads, but...
Barry surreptitiously pushes over a small stack of coins towards Tony Sr.
If I tried to stop every instance of boys being boys, I never would have gotten anything done.
Speaking of getting things done, help me up, Barry. He's
Yeah.
picked up his glass and he's held his hand up to you. Not because he's drunk yet. It's dawn plus 20 minutes. He's it's his second one maybe, but because he's old and he wants help up.
Yeah. Yep. That's Sid being more or less a gentleman. He helps him up.
Yep.
So, what was the purpose of this exercise other than?
Barry's Barry's a big lad. You have to do that sort of foot to foot thing where you put your foot up against his foot and then sort of lean back and leverage to bugger up. Barry, short for Baron. Yes, that's a title, not a name. But yes, he says, "Oh, we call it well." We don't really call it anything. It just explodes. You see, he builds a valve, and then I build a valve, and then we put them on here, and we heat it up until one of them goes. We started off the first time one failed, it just sort of went like that and fell back on the floor. And we thought we've got to do better than that. We've sort of been upping the volume since we go through a lot of windows.
Pump up the volume. Sorry. Sid's just thinking, and he, once Stefano's in, he points down to the machine. 1800, huh?
He looks down at it. That's what the math said. And Tony says, "I'm not surprised that the walls on that are 1.5 centimeters thick. That's half an inch. The ball's this big around, and
It's mostly
there's that much wall on both sides. We've had to upgrade. These valves are pretty complex. Speaking of which, and as if nothing has happened, he starts unscrewing his. Now that it's cooled down, you're tell me when you think you could beat me, he says to Barry as he unscrews it, puts it in its little box like a fishing tackle box.
Puts his Beyblade away.
Yeah, yep. Yep.
Right, so I figured there's about
Aristocrat is Latin for adult child.
sort of like looks at the sun. So I figure we've got about 30 minutes until the rest of the lads get here.
Oh yes, the warehouse, clearing the space and all of that. What is your opinion? And this is Tony Senior. I was using the wrong voice, that's why I had to clarify that. What is your opinion on whiz kids?
Back home, they were everywhere. Felicity, Lady Caldwell, myself. We did the work. And he sort of thinks, looks back to Verite. And then Stefano. Yeah, they tended to get jobs.
They kind of nods to you. He says, "It's just that as good as the lads are that are coming, they're well, we're fucking old. And we're very, very, very good at what we do." And he kind of glances at the railway state thing. And underutilized, to be fair. Apparently, we can work at 1800 psi, so who knew? But my point is that we're going to need to bring in some new blood. Not only to do the heaviest of the lifting, but we'll get them to do that once they've signed on, but mostly for miniaturization.
But I can't do it all.
Have you seen the coffee machine?
Bloody brilliant.
Yeah, Tell my son that.
I have.
Yes, but he probably told you I built it, didn't he?
He did.
Would it surprise you to know that every single piece of that coffee machine was built to fail? And because I did it, every single one of them did fail. And every single one of them was replaced by my, oh, I don't know nothing about nothing, Dad, son. And every time he replaced a bit, that machine got smaller and smaller and smaller.
It used to fit the Steamworks, didn't it?
It used to take up the whole counter.
And now he's got it looking like a body.
So, toot toot, or every drink you've ever wanted in a box. I'm just saying the next generation, as much as I dislike the way they wear their hair in their pants, has value.
New blood, then.
I'll warn you, Junior's bad enough. Some of his friends.
Well, it's not like I haven't worked a crew before. Their pants are offensive. Venice has no need for pants.
They wear their tights way up here. This season's cod pieces are getting out of hand.
We run around the forest looking for fights. We're men in tights. Sorry. It was the Mel Brooks thing from earlier.
So,
really.
At this point, Barry says, I see some of the lads. I'll get them started. And he starts to head out with the drink, and he stops and says, they'll understand. And he heads out the door to intercept them. They're walking in with their like thermoses of coffee and tea and cocoa, because some of them like hot chocolate. And Barry's standing there with his expensive sherry, and he starts pointing and giving grand gestures, and they're all just like, yeah, Barry, yeah, we see. And you see them starting to clean the place out. It's not happening fast, but I'll tell you what, it's happening efficiently. They're sharing the lifting. There's none of that sort of macho shit going on. There's like 4 old men carrying a thing. But they know what they're doing, right? They're on the job. And yeah, Senior looks at you and says, "Well, I'll go get my son then."
I'll start thinking of ways to maybe look at the. And he kind of like turns his gaze to the, the tent city outside.
Yeah.
The labor pool.
Yes. And if you need, well, when you figure out who's going to have to move and who's going to have big ugly tubes outside their window, just let Barry know. And then follow him, would you? He's so very, very good at convincing people to do the right thing. Until about 4 sherries in.
Just like, right.
He looks over your shoulder at Barry walking in behind the rest of the crew. So that's his second one.
Right.
I'll bring you a cappuccino, because if you're going to live here, you're going to have to learn to drink cappuccino. It's a social event. As he's walking away, he's giving you the lecture over his shoulder.
It's proper coffee.
Hello, Solar. So, you go and see Barry?
Yeah. And
the warehouse is being cleaned out. That's like I said, it's like watching, it's like watching moles dig tunnels. It's just efficiency in motion.
Right, so They tell me you're the man who knows how to get people to do things, Barry.
He turns to you, and the sherry goes around the glass about 3 times before it settles. Like he's at that's not a drop. He's a professional. Don't you even ask. Not a drop came out, but it did go around 3 or 4 times before it settles. And he turns to you and says, "Just tell me who needs to be moved."
Um,
And he flops out a map of Venice. I don't have one because we don't really need it on the table. It's roughly speaking sort of radial city. It kind of comes out from a center in a series of radial roads, at least for the purposes of this, it does. And you're luckily quite near the center of the circle or the hemisphere, right? Because it's the coast, and then Venice does that radiating out from there.
Yeah, so he's like, well, first thing is we can't use any of the seawater.
And
We need.
Yeah. And you start. We don't need to know how to make steam run Venice, but yes, we're gonna fade away as the two of you start to talk about all that technical shit. Like, where are we going to get the fresh water? Where should we put them? The big question is, where do we put the first pipe? Who gets this service first? And I'm going to leave you with that thought while we cut to several days ahead in time. Just after breakfast. No, sorry, just after the experience in the library. And at late morning, Mother Dearest suddenly goes all serious. I've completely forgotten about my calendar. And she grabs her ruff and she's trying to pull it back on as she runs out of the room because social expectations are at hand. Leaving you alone in the recently fun-filled library, just sort of standing there with a book. Because as much advantage as you've made, Mom's still Mom. This counts as too close to home. I'll change the story if it's.
Felicity, her first reaction, she kind of looks around to like make sure she like clocks which servants are where.
Yep.
And then she just goes, and then like recomposes herself.
Yep.
I don't think she goes, but she just goes, wow. And
even though you're in the library, your butler bottles up. Bottle. With a stunningly ornate, like pearls and lace covered little diary sort of daybook. And he looks at you and he says, very formally, Lady Caldwell, your calendar. And he flips it open to this week and hands it towards you in a way where you can't quite see what it says. You can see that there's writing, but you can't quite see what it says. And he sort of reaches out in a very uncomfortable way. He's trying to get as far away from you as possible before you take it. This is what's happening here.
She is instantly like, oh Lord, give me strength. And she kind of puts herself at arm's length from it as well, as she takes it.
Yep.
And just like
he backs away like this. Like he's the butler mode is gone. He is in fear for his life. He's just backing away from his once you're done being very, very angry, madam, let me tell you about Friday. And he actually walks around behind a big fancy sort of Louis XV chair, puts his hands on the back of that, and he has put it between you and him.
What does it say?
You look down. Today is Tuesday for the purposes of this. It says
Okay.
Wednesday, debutante ball. Thursday, ascension ball. Friday, first hosted party.
You're right. Felicity just whooped and then and then like she expects me to host a ball by Friday.
He grins and relaxes. Says,
Also, debutante.
the first two, madam, are technicalities. The debutante ball, everyone has to have one, otherwise you're not officially part of society. So we're going to sort of ignore a fractionally small number of years, madam. And he's just trying to just trying to suck up, right? He's trying to call you young looking. But we have to have that one first, and then the next night is your ascension ball, which is also should have been done when you were 18. So they'll be pretending you're 18 for that night. You become Lady Caldwell officially. Your mother becomes Madam Caldwell. But then there's Friday, Mom. You get to decide the theme, Mom. I get to plan it. If I know, Mom, and I don't, but if I did, I would suspect that you may have some ideas.
Finally, something I can do something with.
I do
That
like the
means
fact
yes,
that
yes,
you're.
I do.
Oh, good. I do like the fact that you're smiling, Lady Caldwell, because I have to show you the dresses for Wednesday and Thursday. Bear in mind, you should
Oh,
have
good
been
Lord.
16 and 18 when you wore them. There's a lot of flowers, ma'am. A lot of pink and yellow.
Through gritted teeth, she just goes, how many flowers?
The tailor assures me that the number 147 was special to your family at some point, and I don't remember why we were drinking, but 147, Mom. Various sizes, no two the same. All down the front, Mom,
What?
like a waterfall.
Why isn't this money being spent on civil engineering? Anyway,
Because there's nothing civil about this place, Mom. Oh, I do apologize. Not my place.
no, you are.
The strangest sneeze I've ever heard.
You. I mean, what? um, no, good Lord. Am I to assume that the planning of parties number 1 and 2 have essentially all been taken care of?
Has Mom ever seen a complicated cuckoo clock? One with various bits and pieces and little woodcutters and birds and complicated workings.
Florence seems a little like it was bit more
Morose.
yeah.
But also compared to the level of tech that you have come to know since meeting the lads, this is like this. He's talking about the old German all wooden gears wind up cuckoo clocks, right? And he says, they're more like one of those, Mom. Sort of stand here, bow there, shake these hands, have this drink, give this speech, eat a bit of cake, and call it a night. Oh, pardon me, you don't get to drink at the first one.
More memorizing. Well, it's okay. It's okay. it's baby steps, baby steps.
Oh, speaking of steps, Mom, I
Uh,
haven't mentioned the shoes. And he gestures towards your room. It would be easier to show you, Mom.
Go away. She just says,
The,
like, absolute resignment.
as you walk into your room, there are two hideosities on stands. Uh, the first one is designed for a debutante ball. So you were 16. It goes all the way up to here. It's primarily white. It's just voluminous in all directions. It's covered in an avalanche of flowers. He mentioned the flowers. He didn't mention all the tiny vines that connect them.
Okay,
There's
that
so much
actually, I like that.
there's so much on the front that you can feel when you put it on when it's gonna pull
Oh,
forward.
yeah.
Um,
The bustle especially counterweighted.
Yeah.
Actually, this one, the debutante ball wouldn't even have had a bustle. This is yeah. The other one does though.
All her natural ass.
Underneath all that fluff, nowhere. Yeah, but the next one does the ascension ball. This is 18, and 18 in a culture that has balls for 18-year-olds to show that they are as yet unmarried. So, as the first one might have been sort of chaste and white, this one is sort of cleavage and a bustle. It's the house colors now because you are becoming Lady Caldwell, but as built, it is rather it's marriage bait. Let's put it that way.
um,
Boob window and a booty box. Yeah.
Sorry.
um, Felicity turns to her butler
Yep.
and does say, I will concede to the bustle, I guess. Is there any way I'm spoken for? Is there any way we can
Ah,
with this?
the cleavage, Mom. Is that what you're referring to?
Yes.
Ah, yes. And he kind of grins and walks over and behind that mannequin and pulls out
Hmm.
this little piece of it. You can hardly see it. It's so sheer that you can just sort of it's haze. But when he puts it across there, it's sort of pinned here and pinned here, and it sags slightly, and because of that, like silk, it just covers. And so it looks like you can see through it, but you absolutely cannot.
So it's the suggestion of cleavage.
Yes, yeah. It's my thought is kind of like the figure skating outfits where large portions of them are
Oh
actually
yeah.
skin colored. Yeah.
Netting.
Yeah.
Yeah, the skin colored mesh.
But yeah,
Okay, okay.
my point is it looks transparent, but nobody can see anything. Your
Gotcha.
décolletage is safe.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Smart.
Yeah.
Kevin has learned something about fashion.
I learned décolletage from QI.
Oh, yes, décolletage. Um,
And
let's see.
the shoes,
Yeah.
Mom, and underneath the I forgot to mention it, so we have to
He
go back.
like picks up the skirt
Yeah,
and like dares to look.
underneath the debutante ball one, they're not quite bunny slippers, but they're like hyper elegant representations of what bunny slippers would look like if a princess had them. Like there's no eyes and nose on the front, but it's kind of white fur, and instead of ears, the two sort of straps that come back along the side of your foot are reminiscent of rabbit ears.
Oh no. Okay. And the ascension shoes?
Um, don't hit me. I have an alternative, Mom. And he reaches over and lifts up the other skirt, and it's about a 4-inch heel. Intended to
Oh,
uh, change the
to
posture
send
in
me
a.
literally.
Uh, Allow me to present an alternative. And he, without looking, kicks those two shoes, and they just slide across the floor behind a chair. And he drops the dress and goes over to what his little door where he comes in and opens it up and reaches in and comes back out and says, since Madam is relatively tall and nobody can see what the fuck you're wearing on your feet anyway, may I suggest? And he hands you a pair of very comfortable looking flats. Just a little bit of a, just enough so that if you choose to do the
Yeah,
you
like a
can.
little kitten heel.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. All right. That's acceptable. Yes, I will.
He drops them under the
Order.
skirt and looks at you and he says, Now. And he crosses his arms and grins. He says, About Friday. You see, tradition Wednesday, tradition Thursday, your mother wins, your mother wins. Tradition Friday, as long as you make sure I don't get fired for this, I will help you do damn near anything. This town needs to be shaken the hell up. And that lovely lady who never seems to come upstairs, what's her name? Allegra? That's the one.
Allegra. Mhm.
Talking to all the staff and being charming and wonderful. I won't use the word revolt yet, but let's say some of them have said that some of the things that they're forced to deal with on any given day are revolting. That I will say. But enough said. Um, I've worked for your mother for more years than I care to think about. So let's just say, and there's this grin, the more fun you have with this, the more fun I have with this.
If anyone tries to accuse you of anything, send them to me.
Oh, yes, Mom, working at the behest of Lady Caldwell. That's as much as I'll ever have to say, Mom. Fireworks?
Oh
Nude
God, no, no
juggling?
fireworks. No. Uh, I have enough to juggle, thank you. And she like laughs a little bit. Um, here's what I want. I want a civil mingling of all of the powers in this city. But I want an exchange of I want an exchange of thoughts and ideas. I want I want conversations that lead to better things.
A salon, madam.
Yes, a salon. I want discussion and thought and
Oh, and
innovation.
settees in the garden, madam. Let's have it in the garden.
What? We have a hedge maze.
Uh, and he plops down across you like best buddies in college, right? Uh, Not as of yet, madam, but we can have one planted by tomorrow. You seem to forget who you are. A bit of advice, madam. When you're not in here with me, and when you're not with staff, in other words, when you're with anybody else, tell, don't ask.
Noted. Okay. That's going to be difficult. Because I kind of untrained that part of me when I left where I was raised. So
Florence,
this
Mom.
will be interesting. Okay, I wasn't sure if I don't know who knows and who doesn't, or who is comfortable saying the name. It's
Uh,
it's uh it's rather taboo, I'm learning.
indeed, Mom, and as to who knows, it's only me. I took a chance, thought I'd try.
Well, you're very correct. Um my mother knows, obviously. I had to tell her. But I don't think she could even think the name of that city, let alone speak it. Um,
Oh no, she wouldn't soil her lips with that, madam. She'll drink that shitty wine from France.
well, I was going to make a volcanic soil joke, but it didn't come to me in time. I want
The sedimentary jokes, Mom, they take
socialists.
time to settle.
God damn it! Sorry, no. that was that was
Was that?
actually that probably wasn't out of character. She's like she says it a little loudly. She's like, um, and so she will say, right, major goal, social and political ideological exchange, and essentially, I just want people to get along and understand each other because it feels like the city is divided. It basically is. And that's not a good way to function.
Would and he stops. And I mean, as open and as friendly as he's been with you, you could see him struggling. Would it? And he stops again. He looks at you. We should invite some people from the city as equals, Mom.
Would you happen to have any suggestions?
And there's a grin. And he says, off the top of my head, I can think of a few, and I'm not even being facetious, actually. There are some community leaders, people who are not of a family and yet have managed to do good works, perhaps even members of the clergy, but people who are not of the families.
Extend an invitation, shall we?
Uh, and he grins again. He's unofficial letterhead, Ma.
Yes. I also want, and strictly because I'm new to this community, um, just sort of profiles to get to know each of these people well enough before I am required to meet them face to face. I don't want to go in there knowing nothing.
Uh, back of the diary, Mom.
Oh, one step ahead. Perfect. And she
And
will
he
flip to the
raises an
back of the
eyebrow as
diary.
you say that and says, as is my job, ma'am. And he stands back up and he's suddenly slightly more formal. you haven't offended him, but he's playing, right?
Oh, my apologies. Um,
They're in order of importance rather than alphabetical, in case that confuses you, or you weren't
oh,
expecting
thank
it.
you. Uh, let's just say I'm not surprised that that is the priority taken with such things here, but perhaps we can shift that way of thinking.
Yes. And he grins again and he says, "I've had another thought. I wonder if we might take this occasion to present some of the longer serving staff with a token of our appreciation. I'm personally prefer medieval art, but to each their own." I've been with your mother a very long time. A Dionysus in the room would be just, wouldn't it though?
You know, I do know someone who is taking commissions.
And he grins. And do I know them, Mom?
Oh, yes. Well, she's a bit elusive at the time, at this moment. She's
Oh! The
dealing with.
artist, Mom. The artist. Yes.
Yes,
Do you
yes.
know I found glitter in her room?
I'm surprised you know that word, because I think if they bloody well invented it, but it's everywhere. It doesn't go away.
My personal theory, Mom, is that there was originally only one glitter. Someone turned their back, and then there were two, and then there were four, and then there were eight, and then there were six. Now it's everywhere, Mom.
They're like bunnies. And then she like lifts up the debutante ball
Yeah.
skirt and looks at the shoes again and goes, ugh.
um,
Is there any way we can make them look less like rabbits?
Understood, ma'am. I wouldn't want to be shoving my foot into one of those from behind either. Again, long dress. No one can see it. Same shoes as just wear the. Would it be all right, ma'am, to wear the same shoes 2 nights in a row?
That's fine with me. I just simply the fur is just very strange. The fur is very strange. I don't want that on my feet. Ugh.
And he takes them away and says, "A couple of pair of googly eyes, and I think I've got a niece that would absolutely love these." And he tucks them back in his little hallway out of sight. So yes, you now have basically
Well, I
24
just
hours. So I'm going to leave you for a minute to think about
had
what you want to do before the debutante ball, because yes, it's not. We're not going to do like the
yeah.
whole. We're gonna We'll be back to you shortly because we have to go back
Yeah, no,
to the lodge.
same bat time, same
Say
bat
that channel,
channel.
yeah. But back at the lodge, you and Barry have, I guess, have a question to answer. Where, and by that I mean who gets steam powered first?
And he's looking at this because he's looking, his eyes kind of flit between the three houses, and he looks at the tent city. He looks at places that he knows people live, but not officially. Mm. First question is, how much raw material do we have? How much can we get? How much pipe can we get out with what we've got?
Before, capital B, before, uh, this city is riddled with metal. Pipes of all sizes, it's not going to be an issue. Our only worries are going to be where and when. Seeing as how no one lives inside, he looks around and goes, yet, I'm wondering if maybe that's where we should put some steam.
Was my idea. Larger, empty, plenty of empty warehouses would be good places for steamworks. Nobody lives in them.
Speaking of steamworks, sir, and he kind of there's a pause because he's older than you, but he's going to call you sir because you're boss. He says, who shall we tailor the services to? In other words, personal laundries, things like that, or industrial sites?
Sid thinks long and hard about it, trying to think where. Because if they go for the little stuff, then they're only ever going to be a novelty.
Yep.
And Steam will never catch on.
Let's talk this out. If you go straight up the hill with it, to the big three, cool, but you're going to look like an elitist. And you're probably going to turn the people even more against you. If you go completely the other way and like go into the middle of the tent village, you're going to aggravate the people up the hill.
Mm-hmm.
So somewhere in between there,
he thinks
the spaces in the rules, like, because nobody lives inside, so you don't have to run these pipes down the street. You don't have to worry about that. You can actually put them in buildings. But yeah, Chad has said the middle class.
Mm-hmm.
Right, the people that are...
Actually, he thinks, he's like, what about all these merchants here? The ones who get paid by the hillside.
So the service community, the ones that do all the actual work.
They're the ones with the most immediate need. I mean, I've been up to the
steam powered gardening.
And he's like,
and he grins because that's work. The horrible version of that is what Tony Senior saw at the mansion, right?
Yeah.
The automation. Yeah.
And Sid's more thinking you're like helping out because steam can be used for tanning. Steam can be used
steam is once you provide it, it's just sticking a pipe in and attaching an industry, right? So yes, I love this idea. So the working class, which isn't the word they would have used, but never mind, the sort of the labor, right? Labor and service. So
they would spread the word because when you got nothing better to do, what do? Talk.
Yeah. So there's talk of rechargeable robot labor, construct labor that would do things like mow lawns and public service things like cleaning the streets, all the things that the constructs did in Florence, but without the, with the constructs being 100% robotic this time.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But that's got to be, as you have this conversation, that's got to be sort of secondary. What you need to do first is these large doses. So like steam powered places for industry, for that sort of thing. So that's all you really need as to who you want to serve first. And then he says, so the thing about projects like this, and he kicks back and you realize he is now on his 5th sherry. So he is past the point where his advice is officially good, but He kind of leans back in the chair and goes to kick his feet up on an ottoman that isn't there and almost falls over, puts his feet back on the ground, has another sip to cover that so nobody will notice. And he looks at you and he says, "So, since it's the first part of the project, what are your thoughts on copper gilt? Maybe some sort of Gothic spike works. Really make it impressive. Really make it stand out."
He thinks about it, and I think the idea that Sid sort of brings out isn't so much like, you know, spikes or whatever, because, you know, that's kind of gaudy and shit.
Yeah.
um, but more um creative use of pipe to try and make it look like almost vines.
Oh, 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 I like that. A real organic look. Sort of a
Mm-hmm.
nod to Artemis and the
Mm-hmm.
revolution.
Plus, since we're going to be using a lot of copper,
Yep.
that's going to
Oh,
patina
it will verdigris. Yeah.
verdigris
Oh,
in the Mediterranean Sea from
yes.
all that air. And so yeah, so it's gonna kind of like green in almost.
Yep.
And he's like, it's going to take a little bit more work. We'll have to use more pipe than we needed, but with the efficiencies that we've been looking at, and he points again to the Beyblades,
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
uh, it'll be more than enough.
And by this point, or at this point, Son walks in. Tony Jr. comes rolling up to you, and he's got a ink and a pen, and he's making notes just like mad. And he says, "Hi, um, did you enjoy your coffee the other day? Tea. It was tea, right?
It's very good. We did a great job.
Oh, Dad made the machine. Speaking of which,
Right.
Dad,
You mean old Theseus?
uh, Dad, um, why did you have such a big warehouse?" And Dad's like, what do you mean? I got us a warehouse. We could build 10 of what we need in here. I keep telling you, Dad, let me show you logarithmic pressure upgrades. It's a it's a scaling thing, right? Like it's once again, it's this kid accidentally showing his dad that he's actually way smarter. That he's talking about miniaturizing an entire factory into something that Verite would be sort of reasonably proud of. I mean, if Verite did it,
Hey,
it would be a
Stefano, we
one-off.
found
And
another one.
yeah, you look over. Stefano is looking down behind a chair, and just behind the chair, you can see Verite. He's beside the arm of the chair, just peeking over the edge, like a dog meeting a new dog. It's like it's like when savants meet. Sort of. But I mean, they've met before, but when he hears him talking about how he's going to miniaturize this, the difference is if Verite
So,
built this thing for you, it would be a one-off. It would never break, but nobody else would understand how it worked. If Junior builds it for you, it's going to be modular, replaceable, repairable, scalable, upgradable.
mhm. The two of them together. Well,
Yes,
shit, feet is big.
he's like yeah, he's talking about Steam blockchains. You know, it's just
Yeah.
the butt sniff moment. Yeah, exactly. Uh,
But
uh,
yeah, no, he shouts. I was like, found another one.
and yes, chat, I am showing off a bit. I'm actually thinking of how I'm going to have to kill off 2 or 3 of these NPCs pretty soon. There's too many. They're all me. It's so easy to play. Um, so, um, so yeah, while you're chatting that out, one of the workers comes running in. One of the workers comes in and walks up to Senior and shows him a piece of paper. And Senior takes the pad and the pen and looks at you and says, "I'm sorry, what was the last name? Yours."
Uh, Brimlock.
And he spells it out as here. It's Brimlock. No E at the end, like those damn Germans. No, okay. He's old. He's a little bit racist. Sorry.
I'm sorry.
uh,
All I heard was Blackadder there.
yeah. Oh, thank you. I've been watching a lot of it the last couple of days. You see him write your name on a form, and then he holds it up for a second, and as he hands it back to the worker, he says, "Yes, Brimlock Power and Steam Company. Yes, tell him that's what it's called." And the minion
Sid kind
turns
of
to
like
leave.
literally like double takes.
Barry appears out of nowhere with a sherry and hands it to you.
He's just like in hearing that, it kind of becomes real for him.
Mm-hmm.
Before it was all just theory and planning and, staring at a map, staring at a blueprint, watching things explode, normal engineering stuff.
Yes, yeah. Now that's going to be on the outside. It's an engineering works, so that's going to be on the outside of the building in fucking ginormous big brass letters, right? Because it's a power station, and that's how you mark power stations: huge big brass letters, right?
He looks at Senior and he's like, "I will get you back for that."
Barry laughs and says, "There's a reason I go through a bottle and a half a day." Kind of stumbles off again.
Yeah. Sid kind of, I think he takes Junior and like shows him a standard, standard boiler, and starts asking him questions on what he'd do to improve it.
Yeah, and he basically, in my head, rewalks you in a matter of moments through the development of steam engines from single. I know there's double, triple, quadruple recycle where they reuse the steam over and over again. But yeah, he explains to you a hyper efficient steam delivery system. It's I just figured it out in my head. It's based on the systems that we've got now for hot water, the on-demand hot water. There's no tank; it just makes hot water when you need it. It's like that. It only makes enough steam to keep the pressure up. It's not a big useless tank of pressure that's just sitting there cooling. So it's mostly that.
So already hop, skip, and a jump more than what they had in Florence.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Because that was
levels
an
of, and then
underground facility.
the
So
the process, as I see it, kind of, um, he has the idea, Junior has the idea, Verite makes it better with a couple of suggestions that Junior then makes practical, and then um, after that, then Stefano does the math, and then they look to you for approval.
yeah, so he's looking at that and he's like, "Well, definitely have enough room in the warehouse."
And he kind of looks at you and says, "I could light the entire peninsula with or sorry, I could power the entire peninsula with this much space." I wonder if anybody would notice if we let the workers put their tents inside.
Sid smiles and he's like, "I was kind of thinking of something like that."
We could say
Because,
that they're monitoring the system and therefore technically working.
and he's like, "Well, from the steamworks that we had that needed 24-hour monitoring, 3 shifts, 8 hours apiece." Just need to put up a wall thick enough to hide the clanging.
And he raises an eyebrow and looks at you and he says, clanging is a sign of inefficiency, sir. My shit does not clang.
Sid nods approvingly.
It's the closest you've seen to him being proud of him and taking responsibility for his skill, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, with that, yeah, let's cut back. Let's cut back to Felicity. You got one whole day before your debutante ball.
Okay. As much as she would love to rip a couple hundred flowers off of that dress, um, does she have to like take any lessons or anything?
Oh yes, Butler has a paper document that shows you where you're supposed to go and what you're supposed to do. Do you mention to him that you'd like to take the flowers off?
I very much sort of insinuate
Yeah.
that it could use some more strategic placement and subtlety.
Yeah. I don't know if we can do that, Mom. The dress is rather prescribed, but what I could do is hide things in the flowers that only you would know is there.
She's got so many hip flasks, she clinks.
We like tools, like symbolism, like what are you thinking?
I did one time do this for someone, and I she didn't like the idea of wearing a dress at all, and so to make her happy, I made a bunch of small knit frogs and lizards, and we hid them amongst the flowers, ma'am, just so they'd know they were there. Apparently, it's rather amusing taking the applause with a bosom full of frog, ma'am. Made you laugh yourself out of focus.
She takes a moment to think, and then she says, "You know what I never saw in Florence? Butterflies."
Perhaps, ma'am, all the way down your back. Not only would it balance it out, but it would show to some extent that you leave butterflies in your wake.
Like that.
And he just nods. Like there's not a measurement taken. He knows what's going to happen. He knows. Yeah, consider it done. It will be done in time for you to go to the party. He says, "Now, they won't be giving you any liquor at all during what is, let's admit it, 2 hours of stomping about and being bored, Mom. Uh, there are ways. There are 3 places during the ritual at which you get a drink, and seeing as how we understairs control what goes in the glass, whiskey, tequila, Mom. It's a special moment after all."
That is a very strange ask. Have you got any claret?
I will by tomorrow, Mom. It's French, though.
I've always wanted to try claret.
So the way we generally do it is a bit of tubing in the rough, Mom, and when one gets he kind of raises his eye at Bison. It's like, yeah, it's not a euphemism. But we hide it in the rough, mom, and when one is embarrassed, one simply goes and has a drink.
All I'm thinking is the camel pack, man.
I'm
Should I
not
use
questioning why you have three bosoms, ma'am. I am simply questioning why one of them gets smaller as you get drunker.
Um, Felicity actually says about that. Um, I'm not asking to completely get rid of the rough because that might have to be a gradual thing. Is there a way we can make it smaller? It's so Queen of Hearts.
And he grins and he says, "It would be within your purview to ban them at your Friday party. And we could spend all night watching women try to cover."
Oh, I have some ideas for that then. All right. Full rough for party number one. Strategically smaller rough for party number two.
Yes, because you can drink there, ma'am.
And no roughs allowed on party number three.
And he grins and says, "Shall we make that an at-the-door requirement, ma'am? In other words, we won't tell them till they're here? They wouldn't dare walk away from a Caldwell party, ma'am."
He thinks it over. Just spring it on them would be so rude. So deliciously rude.
Well, ma'am, if you're not here to cause waves, then why the hell are you here? I've seen you
Starting to
try
get
and
riled.
change. I've seen you try and change your mother, and I've seen her act more human than I've ever seen her act in all the years I've been here. In fits and starts. May I ask, before we get any deeper into this, what are your intentions regarding my empire? And he's only half kidding. Like, you realize at this moment he is the power under the stairs, him and Cook, right? Yeah.
Yeah. I don't intend to dismantle anything. Just restructure, make more efficient, and make it fair.
Meritocracy, ma'am.
One might call it that.
Oh, I do like that idea, ma'am, because I'm fantastically fucking talented. Now, about this dress. And he just
Yes.
he's
I
buying
actually
in.
have an idea now.
Oh,
I have
yes.
an idea now. Imagine plot number one, I present myself as the debutante
Mm-hmm.
with rough galore. Plot number two, I'm presented. I present myself slightly smaller, rough, maybe causes some talk. Party number three, I come out very small, rough. That I then take off and give to you, and you just sort of whisk it away.
Into a rough room, Mom. We can keep them there with tickets until afterwards.
Sure, why not?
Like a coat check, but just a room full of roughs.
And one very, very, and the maid that drew the short straw,
Yeah.
forced to sort through
And
it.
I can't get the image out of my head too, because we talked about the gownage in this era is rather exposing. So, but when you take the ruff away, they're walking around with the bosoms sort of firmly displayed, but they're going eep eep. You can see my neck. So yes, I love that
Oh
image.
no,
Absolutely
ankles.
love that image. So, uh, I said we were going to make plays tonight, so we're going to make some plays. I would like for listening, and you've got a day in between each one of these. My thought is, I want you to make an entrance. I want you to tell me what your intended entrance is, and then make a play. It would be, I think, it's got to be charisma, right? It's got to be hearts, flesh. That's manipulation, firmness, empathy, and charisma.
Or societal esteem.
Yeah.
I do have societal esteem, but that was like more Florence based.
Yeah, that's true.
So yeah, pick one of those that makes sense to you. And again, you're going to be able to redraw between each one of these plays. So tell me what the next night after you've got sensible shoes. Oh, I forgot to tell you, when you come back in, the flowers on the front, they've been just hinted, just little dots of purple and blue, like just sort of almost like dappled light has been added to them, because on the back the butterflies are primarily blue and purple, but they've got little spots of yellow and pink dappled on them. So it's like you're walking into a room full of flowers and leaving behind a room full of butterflies. And it's sort of the yin yang look to it, where there's a little bit of each in the other.
Still takes you 3 hours to get into.
Oh yes, even with Butler.
She'll put up with it.
Yeah. One more moment just before you walk in. This is your debutante ball, so you get fucking ringlets. You don't have a choice. It's part of the rules.
He like tries to stretch them out a little bit. She's like,
and you gotta walk like smooth, sausages. Or they bounce like springs and look ridiculous. So yeah, you have to walk smoothly.
Sid, every time Felicity looks at Sid, he's doing this.
Because yeah, you would be back by this time, because this is days later. But yes, the room is full. The all the people are here. All the other debutantes of this season. A room full of adults and 16-year-olds in uncomfortable white dresses. And you, the first thing you have to do is go and mingle with the 16-year-olds. But first, you, because you are you and not just any of the 16-year-olds, gets to make an entrance. You are introduced only as Mistress Caldwell, because you are technically, for tonight, 16 years old.
Yeah.
So you get the I mean, this room's built for this shit, right? So it's the flight of stairs. You get to come in at the top of the stairs. They announce you. What do we see?
You see a 31-year-old woman. Who I think at the very, very start, the butler alone sees how kind of terrified she is. But the further out she walks onto what I imagine is like a presentation balcony, the more elegant her face gets, the more kind of stoically kind her expression becomes, and she she can put on this sort of air of grace that is it's it doesn't have the sternness that she would have used at the Citadel. It's it's devoid of that, but it is the decorum that she is drawing on. And it's kind of like showing the 16-year-olds what they can be and showing the adults more like what they should be.
Absolutely. Do you have firmness as a skill?
Yes.
Perfect, because that to me that's what this calls for. So give me a play
Okay.
in firmness, which is hearts.
I am
Meanwhile, you're standing at the buffet
the
going.
sake of for the sake of the fact that this is only night one,
Yep.
I'm just gonna do a single success.
Okay. You pull off the effect you're looking for because that's what a single success does in this game. As you
Mm-hmm.
come down the stairs, the applause you get isn't sort of the formal correct level of applause for a debutante. It's more of, there's a little more oomph to it. You've done stuff.
Mm-hmm.
People already know you. They know of you if they don't know you already. At the very least, minus the charade of this evening, you are Lady Caldwell, and they bloody well better treat you correctly, right? So there's an element of that. They feed into your grace. But you use that word, and I like that because even with the one success, you come down that stairs to the acceptance of the room, not like your mother would have come down those stairs to the respect and or fear of that room. Right? You win them over on the way down the stairs. Um, there is a whole process you have to go through. They're each called up one at a time, and their family history is read, and blah 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 blah. You are saved for last. You didn't fall down the stairs. I did not make
I
you
was
roll for that.
I was literally going to say, and because it's Chris's biggest fear, or one of them, she doesn't fall down the stairs.
I'm not going to make you roll because you're not wearing the bunny slippers.
Personal win for Chris. Fucking hate stairs.
But yes, you have to go through the process like everybody else, but there's this kind of this exclusionary bubble around you when people come up and do the "oh, you got so much to look forward to" speech. They come up to you and there's a bit of a bow of respect. They don't put their hands on you like they're doing with the girls on their shoulders. They don't give you stupid advice that doesn't mean anything to a 16-year-old. They treat you like an adult, which goes against the rules. But the fact that they're going against the rules because it's you sort of shows at least a hint of you've already had an effect in this
Everyone
place.
already knows this is dumb.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And so the rest,
Okay.
it's only a couple hours and you get to escape. But the very next day is the Ascension Ball. I want to get you. Actually, we're gonna cut back to you getting ready for that in a minute because I want to cut back to Sid for a couple
Okay.
seconds here. We're getting
Okay.
fairly close to 8 o'clock.
Do I get to redraw?
Yes, you do because it's a whole new day. So you can, and because it's a full sleep, you can throw away anything you don't want and redraw up to a full hand. Sid,
Yeah, I
the
was going to say during that ball, I think Sid was doing his best to, look respectable.
oh yeah, we're
he's
gonna
wearing
get you there, but we're still literally 48 hours behind that.
Oh,
You.
okay.
So, yeah. So that first day, yeah, we'll say that what happened in our first chat there was the first day. The idea that it's going to look organic, and it's going to use lots of verdigris and brass and bronze. It's going to be called Brimlock Power and Steam Company. It's located here. There's going to be room, and you're going to be able to put people inside. That is all set up in the first day. So, second day. Barry comes. Yeah, let's start with Barry the second morning. Uh, he he has a thermos with him this morning instead of his crystal glass. But when he pours out of his thermos into the ceramic cup that goes with it, you see it's still sherry or something. It's still alcohol, but it's in a thermos. He's also got a very fancy, but he's kind of got his head on crooked a little bit. He's got a very fancy hard hat, but for some reason it's plaid. And he hands you a white, like bright white, sparkly clean hard hat, and sort of bows as he hands it to you, and he says, "So, so as to remind you that you never again work a honest day's work in your life.
Ah,
If you make this dirty, it's a failure."
but make it dirty, it means I actually stuck around long enough for them to not bugger up.
And he takes the hat back from you, and he says,
He's like, he looks at Barry, he's like, I was a foreman for over 10 years.
and he
Foremen do
leans,
not sit in the office, not unless they bloody have to.
he leans in so close you can smell today's alcohol and yesterday's alcohol and the day before that's alcohol. There's just a
The drunk
fog
stay.
around him. Oh yeah. And he says, "Was is the key word in that sentence.
Sid's
There's
eye
a
twitched.
whole room full of engineers out there. There's a whole room full of very talented children, about 20-year-olds, same fucking thing, who are going to do all the hard work and the plumbing. What we need is a face." He's so close he puts his thermos down and reaches up and actually pats you on your cheeks. "This face. I'm going to get people to do things, but in the process they're going to hate me. So when I piss them off, you have to push me out of the way. Oh, drunk old Barry, go home. And then you have to make them smile. That's your new job. No dirt. White hat. Do we have an understanding?" And he holds the hat up like he's holding up candy in front of he's holding up a treat in front of a dog to try and get it to fucking sit.
Yeah, you can tell Sid is intensely uncomfortable with this. The ghosts in the back are all laughing at
Oh,
him.
just
Like
folded.
every single one that worked with him.
Yep.
They're all just sitting there laughing at him.
You turn around and look, and your dad ghost is holding out a tie and laughing his ass off.
Fine. I have to buy some more long sleeve shirts.
Long sleeve shirts will be waiting for you tomorrow, sir. Please stop doing things and start telling people to do things, sir.
He puts the hat on.
If it makes you feel better, you can say thank you after you tell them, sir.
He goes out and he starts barking orders.
Totally unnecessary orders. By the
Yeah,
way.
totally unnecessary orders, like what they're already doing,
Oh, yeah.
but
Yeah.
faster.
And they're grinning, and you hear occasionally as you walk by, you hear, "Oh, first date, boss's first date." When you get to your office, there's a dusty old green bottle with a label on it that's actually starting to peel off. And next to it, there's a little glass, same crystal glass as the other one, the cut crystal.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not a wine glass. This is a proper, what's the word I'm looking for?
Double old fashioned.
The short glass.
Yeah,
Yay big
old-fashioned.
around, about that long, that tall. It's got a
Inch
word.
of glass at the bottom.
I want to say bunker, but that's not right. It's not a beaker. It's got its own. I forget. Tumbler. Yeah, let's go with tumbler. That works. There's that sitting next to it. There's a little bow on it. It's clearly a present. And there's a little card.
Sid comes over to it. He Well, first he hangs his nice apron
Yep.
up by the door.
Yep.
So that's the the boss's coming apron. Um uh he goes over, kind of blows the dust away,
Yeah.
picks up the card.
It's from Barry. It says all it says is it's how I stayed off the factory floor for years. By the way, this is older than you. Enjoy. Barry. And actually, it doesn't say Barry. It says Baron, and then there's just a scribble that you can't read.
He tries to read it a couple times, and he's
Yeah.
like,
No, you're gonna
"Those
have to
even
ask.
letters."
Yeah, some of those don't even look like letters. Yeah.
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 He puts it back on the table. Kind of. It's a box,
It's just a bottle.
a
Sorry.
bottle.
Yeah,
Okay.
just an old one of those old green bottles that's actually foggy, like you can't see through it,
Mhm.
even if it wasn't covered in dust.
No. He swirls it around a couple of times and pops the cork. Takes a sniff.
It takes a sniff. It is. It smells like just alcohol. There's just a poof of grain based smell that goes in your head. Like there's no feel to it. It's like vapor, right?
Okay.
It's Scotch, but it's so Scotch. Like it's so mellow because you look down and it's older than you. It's almost 40 years old.
Bloody
It's
hell.
thick. It's
Yeah.
like yeah.
It's got legs like a ZZ Top song. He pours himself a
Blunk, blunk,
respectable first
blunk. Yeah.
go. Uh, Leans against the desk. He kind of like watches everybody through the windows.
Yep. How hard is Sid working to not go out there and say something, do something, just grab a
Every
wrench?
fiber of his being.
Excellent, because we need a
Every
roll.
fiber of his being. He's
Yeah,
vibrating.
I need a roll from you. I need a firmness roll. Absolutely, to be firm with yourself, to do your job and not what you want to do. Grumble, grumble, grumble. Yeah.
Yeah.
So hard being the boss. It's so hard sitting in my big comfy chair.
He is going to go with 2 successes.
Okay. Okay. What do you have to do, Sid? What two things do you have to do to keep yourself from throwing that pathetic white hard hat on and going out there and showing somebody how to do something wrong? Because these kids are fucking good.
Um, the first thing he does is
Woof, get your abs.
he looks at all the ghosts who are still making fun of him.
Yeah.
Tomas is the look on Tomas's face is, how does it feel, old man?
Yep.
Um,
Your mom looks so proud. She's just,
yeah, just
you finally made it.
yeah. Max has more of a it's not so much how does it feel, it's I know how you feel.
Waiting for the other shoe to drop for you to realize the cost of this. Yeah,
Yeah.
not just the result. Yeah.
Yeah. Ted's got his blue supervisor's hat, the one that Sid buried him with.
Yeah.
Uh well, buried him.
Yeah.
The and yeah, he's just, Ted's kind of doing this.
Yeah. Oop,
Fucking
it's only a camera. Don't worry about it.
yeah.
We're almost done anyway. If you can
Yeah.
get it to work again, go ahead. If not,
Yeah,
it doesn't
don't
matter.
worry about it. I don't
We're
know
in the right
which
spot.
thing it is.
Not quite. Hang on.
Yeah, the other thing he does is he drains the glass. because if you're drunk, you can't be on the work floor. It's dangerous.
See, you've learned the lesson of the great Baron von Barry. And you sit back with your exceptional scotch. This is alcohol so good that it only ever gets to from the side. It only ever gets to here, because by the time it gets to there, it's turned into a vapor, and you go to swallow it, and there's no liquid left. It's just ah. And 3 of them, and you feel great. 4 of them, you feel bulletproof. 5 of them, you feel invincible. It's like
6
like
of
the
them, you feel
princess.
the floor on
6
your
you're on the floor, wrapped around the table, puking. But never mind. You're still at that 4 or 5 stage. But yes, you discover the Baron von Barry school of management, which is don't manage people that are good at what they do, and drink lots before noon. Success to every company is a lot of day drinking. Well, you try not to learn that lesson, and your ghost dad keeps putting ghost drinks down in front of you. Every time you go to look out the window again, your ghost dad puts another ghost drink in front of you. Like, sit down. You're not needed. So
sort of grumbles
and at the
looks
end,
for paperwork.
At the end of the day, you're pretty plastered. So much so that the ghosts have to help you home. And we're going to leave you stumbling up the back stairs trying to sneak into staff accommodations in the middle of the afternoon because you were day drinking to get some rest so nobody sees you. We're going to leave you there, and we're going to cut back to Felicity because I want to end this on the Ascension Ball entrance. So you've still got time before that entrance. But your butler explains to you that this is the boom. Like this is your chance to, while still following all the rules, this is you're an I am an adult party. So there's the formula in this one only goes like through about 4 steps, and then there's a party once you're sort of officially declared as an adult, right? So it's more like a rubber stamp with a party attached, but you have to go through the rubber stamp part before you get to the party.
That makes sense.
That's a top hat for the Ascension Ball. Is still 6 out of 10 drunk. Yeah. That's okay. As long as you're sitting at the table with Barry, you look sober. Yeah. You can get as drunk as you want as long as your friend is drunker. No one will ever see you. You're invisible. But Felicity. Today you become Lady Felicity Caldwell. Your mother, over the course of this day, has been insufferable from a distance. She won't leave her room, but she keeps sending you messages on house stationery about how she's old and covered in wrinkles and Madam Caldwell, oh my God, blah, 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 blah. The truth of the matter is getting the title Madam Caldwell is a step up in the culture. She's resisting it because it makes her look old. But she's really making a feast of this because she's doing it, 15 years after every other woman she knows did it, right? So, but this is sort of makes her sort of part of the power elite, this title, right? It's beyond social at that point. So, but yeah, all day, every 15, 20 minutes. Oh my God, the wrinkles, I found a gray hair, the whole shtick.
You hear it one.
She's gonna enter the party and look like a fucking goddess, and I'm like, Jesus.
But yeah,
is that a mole? You hear from down the hall.
Eventually, yeah, but you get notices about I'm going to have to send for more body powder and just all day long.
Why is she telling me this? This is what she should be telling her servants. I
guarantee her servants have heard it as well, Mom. As he's getting you all pinned into your new dress and covered.
Yes.
1 foot firmly on your back as they tighten the foot.
Actually, oh my God, make sure I can breathe, please.
Actually, I just had a thought. I don't even know if this would work, but he says, A little trick I learned. We leave this a little looser, and he loosens off the actual bustle or the actual girdle portion.
Corset?
Yeah, the corset. Yeah, and then he says, "We'll just add a bit to the bustle, Mom." And he loosens off a couple straps. And he's, "We make your ass look bigger. It makes everything else look smaller, don't you think, Mom?"
Sir Mix-a-Lot the
Just a
Buff.
little bit of padding here, little less cinching there.
He grins at you and he says,
Proportions.
"I can make it bounce, Mom.
No.
Just a little
We
bit,
don't
Mom.
need to go that far.
Just
No.
no. Perhaps
It will
Friday.
sway naturally.
Perhaps Friday, Mom. We'll have it bouncing."
Oh, don't you worry about Friday.
I'm dreaming about Friday, Mom. And he starts getting you back together again. Tonight, your hair choice is yours. You don't have to have ringlets because you're not 16. Tell me what prep happens. Yeah, what do you look like before you make your entrance?
Yeah, so oh no. She has sort of similar to that first day where she like undid a lot of her
Yes,
like
we're down.
fancy rococo bullshit.
Yeah.
But instead of anything being down, it's up, but it's very sort of romantically loosely curled and pinned and stuff.
Oh yeah.
So it gives the idea of 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 an elegant what's the word I'm looking for? Like graceful freedom of some kind.
What I thought of is the curls on the Roman statuary, like on the Venus.
Yeah,
those
that
long sort of, they're perfectly controlled. They look as though they've just fallen asunder, but you spent 3 hours making them look like they've just fallen asunder. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Basically everything looks like everything is so deliberately placed to look like it's not deliberate. And she's in this dress that is annoyingly perfect for accentuating her body. It does make her feel very self-conscious because, you know, she is not here to flirt.
Nope.
But you know, she's being quote unquote presented in a way.
Perfect. So that's what tonight's role is about. Making an entrance in such a fashion to say to all the young men, remember you're supposed to be 18, so your suitors, because mother has chosen them as though you were 18, are all sort of 19 to 25. And there's a little nest of them sort of at the bottom of the stairs that you're going to have to walk to. So that's what you're being presented with. So I want you to tell me how you blow them away and disabuse them of any notions they might have, and how you win over this crowd.
So I think in my head, well, actually, the venue for the Friday party is not going to be this ballroom. So in my head, her entrance from the debutante ball, or for the debutante ball, was from like off to the right, and now her entrance for the Ascension ball is from off to the left.
Yep.
And it goes down the other side of the stairs.
Absolutely.
And then before she heads down the stairs, she stops at the top and does a kind of gentle but assessing gaze, like a glance of a gaze across to not like assert her dominance, but like show that she is taking stock of those who she, you know, is around and has to be considerate of and stuff like that. Um, and that she recognizes them and that they're there
Yep.
and gives them her attention. And then she with every step that she takes down the stairs, she makes it very clear through her body language that she is not she's not trying to tell these boys that they're not worthy of her. She's more trying to be like, hey, it's just not going to work because you have different opportunities than I do,
You're young and all, but I'm
kind
not
of
a cougar
thing.
yet. But I
It's
think I
kind
get
of,
it. You're as nicely as possible making it very, very clear that you are not on the block tonight.
yeah. And it's very, if she's forced to, or if she's required to talk to these boys, um, she wants to kind of insinuate to them that like they should probably, it would behoove them or be in their best interest to sort of pursue a person who makes them happy rather than a person who makes them powerful.
Yes. But good point, because these are, of course, from the families. They've all passed mummy's approval. These are the ones she
Hmm.
would like you to, this will also, because she's mummy after all of this. She loves you very much, but she also loves her family very, very, very much. So these would all be
Hmm.
sort of social steps, all of them. So how many, again, the same role, I think. We're going to use firmness or charisma,
Okay.
manipulation, any of those. One of those flesh ones.
Um,
Unless you can convince me of something different.
I'm just trying to
There's also
think here.
appearance, steel, which isn't about your looks, it's about how you sort of present yourself. So you could possibly think of that too. But whichever one. Hearts or diamonds? Your choice. But if you use firmness again, I know you've got it, so you get to play 2 cards.
Yeah. We are going to go 2 successes because I have a 1 heart and a total of 10.
Yep, absolutely. So, yep, 2 successes. So that's one of the ways that you can extend a success in this is permanence. So not only do you succeed, but you make it memorable.
Hmm.
So you walk down the stairs as you get to the lads. The sort of bravest one, and this, you can see him steeling himself. You're a grown ass woman, and he's an overgrown boy, right? But this is what these parties are for. He's supposed to present himself and do a little bow and the whole shtick. And just as he steps forward, Barry kind of blasts through the circle of lads. Just, back off, boys. None of you could handle her, not for 5 minutes. Bugger off, bugger off. Go back to your mothers. And he just sort of chases them away. And everybody kind of giggles because nobody else would get away with it, but Barry, he's Barry.
Yeah.
And then he holds out his elbow to you. He says, "Might I be the first one to escort the young lady to a party? I know where they keep the whiskey."
She'll laugh sort of demurely, but like Barry knows that she's like very amused by this,
Uh-huh.
and she will happily acquiesce to his request. and allow him to escort
Yep.
her
So yeah,
to
he's offered the
wherever,
arm.
but
You put the hand here, right? Start the walk. The
Mhm.
second you start the walk, he goes dun 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 dun. dun. Just kidding, just kidding. And he walks you into the room again because Barry, who is the eccentric in this entire town, and he's allowed to just basically get away with shit. He's broken the rules. You're there. You're good at breaking rules, and just that it kind of takes that party one fraction down from the formality that it would have been. There's still, nobody's
Mhm.
getting drunk, nobody's jumping the fire at the party, none of that foolishness,
Mhm.
but it's that tiny bit more relaxed. There's a couple more laughs. Barry's telling jokes, some of them slightly off color. Uh, the rest of the party is there. I'm not going to say what they do, but they're everybody's there. And then at the end of it, there's another sort of formal thing. You hear the ting 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 as someone bangs the glass to get everybody's attention. And up at the top of the stairs where you came in yesterday on the first entrance, where you came in as a debutante,
Mhm.
stands Madame Caldwell. She has gone all the fuck out. It's a full length gown. There are hints of the family colors, the sort of it's blue and silver. Is it
Blue and white,
blue
blue
and
and
white? Yeah.
silver.
There's a bits of blue and white, but for all the world, it looks like a morning dress. It's almost all black. She's painted her face so white and powdered all of this just like almost like geisha levels of whiteness. And
Oh
but
wow.
then she's done the kohl around the eyes. Like it's like, oh look, I'm a zombie. Oh, I'm so old. Like but at the same time, it's a Gucci. It's like this mix of I'm almost dead, but I am still so fashionable. And she's standing at the top of the stairs, and they introduce Madam, and she shudders and nearly faints at the top of the stairs at the mention of it. Caldwell, and she starts to make her entrance down the stairs. We're gonna leave Felicity standing there because I have a question for Chris.
Okay.
Does Madame Caldwell, in all of her swooning glory, fall down the stairs to end this episode? No.
No.
Okay.
Nah.
As she gets to the bottom of the stairs, there's the sort of the who's who, the top 3 or 4 families. There's a little semicircle, and she comes down and does just the fingertip touches and the pointless words and the whole thing. uh Barry looks over at you, looks over at her, looks over at you, and he says, I've not received my invitation to tomorrow's night's party. I got a feeling I'm going to want to be here. If I'm on my very worst behavior, can I come?
Sorry, I wouldn't have it any other way.
Oh, wonderful. And as a reward for that, shall we steal your mother's thunder? And he holds out his elbow again. This is, after all, my favorite song. And it's just like generic sort of party music going on. It's not a song. It's just the chamber orchestra in the corner going and foodling. Yeah.
Yeah, she'll I mean, her mom has made her entrance.
Oh yes.
So,
Yep.
yeah, technically there's nothing to steal
Nope.
even though there's
Nope.
everything to
You're
steal.
absolutely
Um
legitimate. This would be. Yep. And
um
Barry. Yeah.
cuz this is technically about just as much about Felicity as it is about
Oh,
her mother.
absolutely. This is technically
So,
your party. So As you
Yeah.
step out onto the dance floor, Barry looks at the band and nods, and the tempo changes, and he turns around and goes into a very formal pose and doth dance with you. Barry is the alcohol just falls away. Barry can move, but it's all very very formal, but it's very
Hmm.
dramatic and swooshy and all the tricks, and he leads when he's supposed to lead, and he makes it very easy to follow. And I don't need a role because Barry's that good. Like, all you have to do is just let him lead. And he does that thing where you dance in a slightly ever widening spiral, just clearing more
Hmm.
space and forcing people back against the wall where they have to turn in and look. And then he spirals you back into the middle. So at the end of the song, as the last chord hangs in the air and he does the big courtly bow and leaves you standing in the middle of the room, you can see in the corner, in the shadow of a shadow, the steaming mass of black and gray that is your mother. And in that moment where all the light is shining on you, Lady Felicity Caldwell, he says, "Thank you for this dance, my lady." And the whole room bursts into applause. And that is where we will drop the curtain on tonight.
Hell yeah.
uh,
Felicity is like thinking to herself, I'm going to have to teach Chris how to do that.
well, maybe you better get him to teach him. Well, Barry is the quintessential old school gentleman. He's drunk all the time, but that doesn't
Hmm.
stop him from
Well,
being
yeah, no,
yeah
it's muscle memory for
yeah oh
him.
yeah yeah. So thank you so much. It playing with Felicity is a lot of fun. I loved. I thought of this to three parties tonight, this afternoon, and I just thought, oh yeah, this is yep. Because now you get your revenge. Now you get to have your party tomorrow night. So we give you a week to think about that. Make notes. Your butler is on board with anything that you can think of. Uh, so with that, thank you, Sir Short, tonight. Just thank you, Chris, for playing with us tonight. Thank you, Bison, who's sitting in chat. I hope your computer didn't melt. I know that was an issue before. I hope it has survived, and it was just Zoom that shut down. But thank you both. This is not easy role play. This is brain bending stuff. The butler buttles, yes. It's technically that is a verb, or it used to be. It's archaic, but yes, to buttle is a verb. Uh, but yes, with all of our NPCs, they're all me, and it's so much fun. But thank you, Chris. I enjoy messing with Felicity. She's getting better and better and better at
I
dealing
can
with
tell.
this. Yeah, but I love it because she's getting better, but she's not caving in. Right? She's never going to play their game, but she's going to outplay them at their game without ever playing their game. I love it. So, thank you. Bison, man, it was just good to have you back, dude. We were done with you anyway. Don't mean to sound rude, but we didn't need you here for the last little bit. I fixed the cameras. Fuck you. But no, you know though, from the bottom of my tiny shriveled little black soul, thank you for coming back. I appreciate that more than you can imagine. Thank you to the absolutely, oh, I was going to say nobody, but it's not true. Thank you to the people that watched tonight. Thank you to every one of you for tuning in. This is not your regular ass roleplay, so thank you for tuning in and seeing something a little strange, a little different. You missed Sid. Yeah, I can imagine. But thank you also to anybody that watched on YouTube. If you watched all the way to here, please hit the buttons because we're going to assume you liked it or you wouldn't have watched all the way to here. And happiest, joyous moments. It's been a while since we played. It's been a while since we've had Bison here. So tonight was a special one. But as always, until next time, please be nice to each other. Good night.